Welcome to Amy's Table. Today I'm talking with Jackie Reau, CEO of Game Day Communications and a champion for helping people build meaningful careers and relationships. We're exploring networking, personal branding, career growth, and why success so often comes from creating opportunities rather than waiting for them. If you've ever wondered how to build a career, a reputation, and a network of people who want to see you succeed, this conversation is for you. This is Amy's Table. Pull up a seat. So, Jackie, for people who know the name Game Day but don't really know what it's all about, what's your sort of dinner party speech about what you do?
My dinner party speech about Game Day Communications. We're a media and marketing agency going into our 25th year here in Cincinnati, and Betsy Ross and I started it in 2002, and the Flying Pig Marathon was our first client.
Oh my gosh. And what a client it has turned out to be.
Absolutely.
So you don't have one of those standard 9-to-5 jobs. In fact, we were talking before we came on today about your past week, and you live a pretty exciting life. What's a typical day in the life of Jackie Reau?
There is no typical day in the life of Jackie Reau, which is what I love. And, 9 to 5, ha, ha, ha. What I love is I love connecting people. I love learning about new things. I love to work because I have found a way to combine my passion and my purpose in Game Day Communications. And whether that's working a live shot at 4 a.m. or the finish line at the Flying Pig Marathon at 3 a.m., I love what I do, and it doesn't feel like work to me.
I think that is right there a really distilled down description of success. Marrying your passion with your purpose and turning it into your work. And it sounds easy, right, when we say it, but it's not necessarily that easy for everyone. But community is so important to you, and you are literally woven into the fabric of the community of Cincinnati between flying pigs, sports, arts, community things. How did that happen?
I love living here. I love living here. I love working here. I would say my family is here as, friends. And so I think when you love in a place that you live and work, it's important for you to give back and to make that place something special, leave something else. So for me, I love the arts. I worked at the Cincinnati Art Museum before starting Game Day with Betsy. So I was raised by a single mother, so women's causes like the YWCA are important to me, and I always say I would have nothing without Ohio University. So giving back to Ohio University is important to me. So I think when you really focus on what you like to do, what you think you can make an impact in, you really start to make the world smaller, and you can make an impact. And especially if you care about those causes. So that's what I always tell folks, especially young college students or young professionals, is figure out what you love to do. And if they say, oh, I don't know, I always ask, what will you do? What will you jump out of bed at 7 a.m. on a Saturday to go do? And the answer is find out how to make money doing that.
And that stops some people. And I think it's a failure of imagination. I was reading something about Albert Einstein the other day, of all things, and Albert Einstein really credited dreams and imagination with more power than intelligence. And I think a lot of people, if you say, well, what would you love to do? Find a way to do it. They're like, that can't possibly be an option for me. But that's a failure of imagination and of dreaming.
Yep.
Right? And you got to go for it. And if you think it's hard, one of my favorite quotes, and I'm going to bobble it a bit, and I don't even remember who said it, but is if you think prevention is hard, try response.
Yeah.
So the same thing is true. If you think it's hard to make a living doing what you love, how much harder is it making a living doing something you hate?
That's right. And I taught at University of Cincinnati and Xavier University for over a decade. In every first class of every class, I would say, go around the room, introduce yourself, and tell me your dream job. And it would range everything from, I want to own the Reds, to I don't know. And that was okay. And I said, you guys, the magic wand is out. And then what I would do is I would take those answers and I would build my curriculum around it. So they could see people. They could see somebody from the Reds. They could see a sports agent. They could see, a sports editor from the Cincinnati Enquirer. So once you see and you realize and you dream the possibilities, really the world is your oyster.
Yeah. It's all what you think about, all what you think about. Well, for people who hear public relations, a lot of times the first thing and only thing they think is press releases. But what is public relations and who needs it?
Well, public relations, the definition is effectively communicating to influence behavior. Effectively communicating to influence behavior. So we're all in public relations,
Right.
right?
Right.
If you and I say, hey, let's go to dinner tonight, and I want to go to the new hotspot and you've already been there, I'm going to maybe influence you with communication to go to the hotspot. But public relations for us at Game Day anymore is certainly media relations. We treat our media relationships like gold. It's working with influencers. It's new media like podcasts. It's exciting. It's an exciting world right now.
So that was a question I had for you, is how did social media and influencers change your world? And it sounds like for the better, you're saying.
For sure. I love it. We can really define our audience. Who cares about this event? Who cares about this new product launch? And go direct to them and, create excitement, create inspiration and engagement for our clients.
I love it. Well, whenever I need a connection or, hey, do you happen to know, you're the first girl I call. And you have so many great connections and you're so good at building relationships. You're known for them. For people who aren't really sure about how to network and how to grow their own personal network, what would you suggest?
Well, thank you for that. It just means I'm old and been around town long enough.
Excuse me. Don't say that to me.
So thank you. I cherish every relationship I hold, and I'm truly curious in terms of what people are doing, what they want to do, how I can help. There's nothing better for me than connect to like-minded people to make an impact. Nothing more. And I love that. I do that all the time with clients, with nonprofits that I serve. I will take an informational interview from a college student all day long because I had such a great mentor. So I feel like it's important for me to pay it forward. So I always say turn the tables on the job search, the networking opportunity, and write down 10 people, 10 companies where you think you want to work and would feel comfortable, and start researching them. Start understanding what they do, how they got there, link in with them, be in the right room that they're going to be in, ask for 10 minutes. Hey, can I call you on your way home? Can I call you at 6 a.m.? Can I call you whenever it's convenient? Can I bring you a cup of coffee? And you start to create these relationships beyond a resume. It's not, hey, what was that kid I had coffee with? He was sharp. Let's get him in here for an interview.
Right.
That's where the conversation goes.
How do you steer someone into making those relationships be authentic and not transactional?
I always say, especially for college students or young professionals, start with your alumni network. In my case, it's Ohio University, and we take care of each other. And so if I see an email or a resume coming over, that's green and white, all day I'm going to help them. So I think your alumni network, I think University of Cincinnati's got amazing, so does Xavier, NKU, we all do. I think that's a really good place to start.
I don't want to say that I know how to recognize a good thing, but you posted an essay that you delivered recently, and I literally copied, pasted it, put it in my notes and said, reach out to Jackie. Jackie, what made you write this essay, and share what you're doing with it?
Well, the essay was a summary of a book that I have just finished called The Power of Hustle. And the book is intended for college students, high school students, young professionals to really give them a career map, a intentional, passion-based career map where they're taking the offensive for their career search instead of the defensive. So I basically took some of the chapters and I put it on a LinkedIn post, and it caught fire.
Oh my God, it did. It was
did.
amazing.
I was like, okay, this might work out. But the power of hustle for me is, I have to go back to Toledo, Ohio when I was 10 years old, and I was mowing lawns. I was mowing 5 old lady lawns on our block, making $30 a week, and then I was shoveling snow, and that was pretty cool. I was riding my bike to the bank every week and putting money in the bank.
That.
And then, for me, my mother, I always saw her working. My father worked 7 days in a GM factory. I worked 89 straight days over 2 summers to pay for my first 2 years of college. 2 summers at a GM factory. And that gives you a lot of perspective and humbleness. And so work ethic for me is everything. It's the foundation for everything I do.
Yeah, you gotta hustle.
You do. You have to hustle. And I emulated everything Pete Rose did as a young baseball player. So I thought, well, that's kind of funny. So, it's just a roadmap. It's a hustle roadmap that gives, some ideas, some opportunities. It's like a little workbook with some Taylor Swift stories thrown in, some Bengals Super Bowl stories thrown in. So Jerry Springer show, Tipper Gore. So a little fun side of the celebrities that I've worked with.
And you've worked with a lot of them.
Yeah.
I love this. And I mean, when I read it, as I say, it stopped me in my tracks. You do have a good thing. I think it's going to be a huge success. And while it is the young professional or the new college grad, there's a lot of good insight for everyone who's a human.
Yeah, maybe somebody who's stuck on a path, or an entrepreneur who says, I need some new ideas, some new thinking. So thank you. Yeah.
Well, I know that one of the things that's key, based on the relationships we've talked about and building them, and it's not what you know, it's who you know, and all that good stuff. Networking can cause a lot of anxiety for people. I have to tell you, I would almost rather eat dirt than walk into a 300-person room by myself and find the person to strike up a conversation. And that's without an agenda. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
But if you've got an agenda, you want to make contacts, you want to grow your network, what do you suggest to people who find that a little bit overwhelming?
One of the chapters in the book, The Power to Hustle, is your network is your net worth. Your network is your net worth. And so when I will go to the opening of an envelope to promote game day. So, so I will intentionally network. I will always try to know who's in the room. I will try to do my research, who's in the room, who's speaking, so I will know that at least. I'll have some conversation points. But I really try to make my way around the room. And I intentionally do that. And I will, I probably take the easy road and start with friends that I see first.
Right.
But then I will literally try to make my way around the room. And I'm always looking for maybe that person who's sitting there by themselves, or, at the cocktail table that just walked up that maybe I don't know. So I'm intentionally saying hello to people, maybe acquaintances, and then making new friends. And I think that's important, especially in a city in Cincinnati. It's a small town at the end of the day.
Yes.
And so, the more people you can know and connect with, I think that's beneficial.
Well, so much of the undercurrent of what you're talking about is intention.
Mm-hmm.
It's also filled with a lot of kindness. I think that's what I hear from you and see from you and have received from you through the years. And I think, for example, walking up to that person alone at the networking event who might be feeling just like you, a little awkward, and go and connect is really a wonderful thing. Well, you encourage people to flip the job search. We talked about this. Finding the companies that you're interested in and want to work for is a little bit of that, but go deeper into the flip the job search.
Well, as I was thinking and I was watching past episodes of Amy's Table, I started thinking about every good decision, or maybe every good idea I've had, has always started around a table, which is interesting to me.
Yeah, not to me. I love a table.
I know you love a table. And so, when Betsy Ross and I had dinner that summer in 2001 and said, why is somebody not running a public relations agency focused on sports and entertainment? And then grabbed a cocktail napkin and wrote a business plan. I wish I still had it.
Oh,
I didn't
wish you
keep
did
it.
too.
I know it's completely irrelevant, but it's a good story. So, I think that's interesting. Having lunch with Iris Simpson Bush, who was the longtime leader of the Flying Pig Marathon, at a downtown restaurant, became our first client. So I just think being intentional, being focused is really that's the heavy lifting of the game.
But also open. As a bit of a side story, you mentioned when you were sort of not sure whether or not you wanted to make a real estate purchase. And you're in the middle of Michigan and a guy comes running down the street in a Flying Pig t-shirt.
Yeah.
You were like, yes, the answer is yes.
Well, we both love Michigan.
Oh, yes.
And my family grew up in Toledo, so we'd go to Clark Lake. And after my father passed, I got the GM golden egg, as they call it. So I said, well, I'm gonna invest this in real estate. And I love the business of real estate in a very small way. And so I was sitting at the lake on the day of a very small cottage purchase, but it was the inspection day. And I was waiting there, and I was sitting at a friend's picnic table. And there I am by myself, Saturday morning. It's beautiful. The lake is right in front of me. And I'm second guessing myself. Do I really need this? It's 4.5 hours away. What am I doing? And out of nowhere comes this jogger to my left wearing a Flying Pig marathon shirt. I said, that is a sign I will take, and I will make more money. This will be okay.
That's right. I love that. Being open
Yeah.
to those little signs and deciding to assign meaning to them.
Yeah.
I think that's sort of a trademark of my life as
Yeah.
well. Well, you talk about creating your own personal board of advisors. And I think that is so smart, not just for the young grad who would be reading your book, but also for anyone.
Yeah.
And how would you suggest, you know, I think back so often to Bruce Feiler, who wrote The Council of Dads. Are you familiar with that book? He wanted a dad that was going to be good about sports, a dad that was going to be good about philosophy, who was going to be good about relationships. He looked for all the elements that he wanted. Is that how you would approach your board of advisors? Is you need someone in the real estate world, in the finance world, in the career? I'm putting all the words right in your mouth, but
Yes, and I think my board of advisors changes over time too. I've been so fortunate to have so many great mentors early in my career. You know, I'm going back to Mary Ivers, who started Dress for Success Cincinnati. Georgine Wallahan, a longtime civic volunteer, was like a second mother to me. Sherry Merrick, who on Dress for Success board for so long together. These women are amazing and have such a legacy in this community. And so, you know, I don't think I ever heard any of them say pay it forward, but they live their life that way.
absolutely.
They absolutely did. So I think it changes as you grow. And for me now, I've got a group, we call ourselves the Breakfast Club. We meet every other month or so. And, you know, it's more of a listening session. What are you up to? What could I do? How can we help each other? And I love that.
That is fantastic. You know, when I used to socialize a bit with some of the ladies, Sherry and others that were almost a generation above me, I would tease, I would say to my husband, I'm going out with the big girls tonight. And my relationship with them has changed as they've sort of retired and gone off. But I realize I'm a big girl now,
That's right.
I'm one of the big girls.
Right.
And I love mentoring others. So I think you'd be surprised as you try to build that board of advisors, how many people want to help.
Absolutely.
For sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Especially, I think it's a two-way street too. You know, you can't always ask. You have to give and ask. And
Right.
you need to, especially a mentor-mentee relationship has to have an agenda
Right.
where both parties are getting something out of the deal.
Agreed. I would agree with that. But it's great advice to build one. Well, so let me ask you this. Personally, what do you do? What rituals or habits do you have that you put in place that keep you healthy, keep you sane, keep you happy?
I would say I'm very intentional in my media consumption diet. So, and that really helps me stay curious about new things, see trends, look around the corner. So I love to read, I love to watch, I love to listen. I am your news junkie. I do yoga twice a week when I can. I'm a foodie. I love to try new restaurants and all the things. And I've just started playing Mahjong.
Who hasn't?
I love it.
Oh my gosh. Was it hard to learn?
It's very hard to learn. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I golf. I love to golf. I love to be outside. You know, it's time. So you have to put it on the calendar and go do it.
Oh, that's all good advice, finding those things. And the food part, you know, whenever I'm trying to decide between eating something delicious and skipping it, I think to myself, but food is one of the joys in my life.
It is. It is.
I did that last night with a really good chocolate chip cookie, as a matter of fact. Well, speaking of Mahjong, little plug for our friends here at High Street. They offer a Mahjong event, I think monthly. You can find out more about that at highstreet.com.
And they have beautiful supplies and all the gear that goes with it.
Oh, there's not a thing in this place I don't want to take home
That's
with
true.
me. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I feel like I'd get caught if I tried, though. So fill in the blank. Last question for you today. The older I get, the more I realize...
The older I get, the more I realize how much fun life is. It really is. And I think I heard this word the other day from a friend who's retired from Procter & Gamble. We had coffee, and he said, I'm a completionist. And I thought, oh my God, I'm a completionist. And when I look at my life, I am very intentional in curating my life around things I want to do. And that might be going to all 30 Major League Baseball parks. That might be going to all tennis Grand Slams. That might be going to all 50 states. I'm a completionist, and I love that for myself because I mark it down, I get it done, I have fun, and I get to see and learn new things.
I love that so much. And what a perfect completion of our interview. Jackie Reau, thank you so much. You are sincerely a real inspiration. I love chatting with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today, and thanks to our sponsors too, Wow Window Boxes, High Street, and Jenny Simon Face. Please subscribe to Amy's Table and share this conversation with a friend. Follow along for more inspiration, gatherings, and everyday ideas from our community. Until next time, keep looking for the good, keep making room for connection, and remember, there's always a seat for you at Amy's Table.